6 months ago, I was planning a wedding. Now I'm watching my ex and my brother play house while my entire family pretends nothing happened. This is how I burned the bridge they thought I'd always rebuild. Hey folks, welcome back. Appreciate you being here. I've got a new story I need to get off my chest. So here it goes. The air in my friend Jake's spare bedroom felt thicker than usual, like it was holding its breath right along with me. It's been half a year now. 6 months since everything fell apart. Since the illusion I had called my life collapsed into dust. What once looked like the perfect little family turned into nothing more than broken pieces I've been quietly trying to gather. Some folks like to call me dramatic. Others say I'm just being self-centered. But none of them see what I've been carrying, this quiet internal war I've been waging just to stay afloat. Nobody saw the turmoil I stirred up inside myself just to feel sane again. It all kicked off with a strange, creeping feeling. That uneasy tug in your gut when something just isn't right. My fiancée, Emily, had started acting distant. Not in the usual way. More like evasive. Her fingers were always flying across her phone screen, and every time I walked into the room, she'd flip the screen away faster than I could blink. Like some kind of reflex. "It's just the group chat, babe," she'd mumble, her gaze never leaving the phone. I'd hear a faint shake in her voice sometimes, barely noticeable unless you were really listening. And me? I was the idiot who took her word for it. I wanted to be the easygoing fiancé. Not the overbearing, suspicious one. I figured being chill made me a better partner. What I didn't realize then was that being chill just turned me into an easy target. Then came Alex, my older brother. He rolled back into town like some kind of hometown celebrity, acting like life had just handed him the winning ticket. My family? They fawned over him like they always did. Like he could do no wrong. And me? I was the dependable one. The second option. The guy people only called when plan A fell through. Alex was the golden child. Always had been. Doors just seemed to open for him, and when they didn't, I was usually the one stuck holding the door. So when Emily started helping him get settled back into the city, I didn't think twice. She was being nice, I thought. Welcoming. She and Alex had always been on good terms. My family had this weird closeness, and I figured it was all just part of that. But the help started to feel excessive. I'd call Emily and she'd say she was home alone. But I'd hear it, Alex's deep laugh echoing in the background, clear as day. I tried to shake it off. Told myself I was just overthinking. I trusted her. I really did. I mean, who in their right mind would suspect their fiancé and their own brother of sneaking around behind their back? I wasn't paranoid. I was just blind. I guess I was just a fool with too much faith in the people I loved. Little things started stacking up, bit by bit. Emily would brush off my plans with vague reasons. Something about helping my mom run errands or suddenly not feeling up to going out. Then I'd see her tagged in pictures later that night, laughing over dinner at some restaurant. And of course I wasn't there. Never was. One photo in particular burned into my memory, a glimpse of something unmistakable in the background. That awful red jacket. The same loud crimson one Alex always wore like he was trying to relive his glory days as a high school football star. It was him. It had to be. I began to question my own mind. Like maybe I was just reading into things too much. Maybe they were just being immature or inconsiderate. I didn't want to believe the worst. So I chalked it up to weird vibes and kept swallowing it. Then came the moment that knocked the wind out of me. The group chat with my family, the same one that usually exploded with plans and inside jokes during the holidays, went dead silent on my end. No calls. No updates. Just a brief, awkward text from my mom, the woman who used to start planning Christmas in October. She wrote, "Maybe sit this one out this year." That was it. No explanation. Just a suggestion to stay away. Said my being there would make things awkward. I sat staring at my phone, heart sinking. It didn't make sense. So I scrolled back through the messages. What I found made my stomach turn. My dad and Alex both chiming in here and there like diplomats trying to keep the peace, painting me out to be the troublemaker, the unstable one. Like I was the problem. I reached out to Emily. Sent her a simple message, "I'm sorry. What's going on?" Her response was a cold knife to the chest, "It's for the best." I couldn't take it anymore. I called my mom, my hands trembling, barely keeping my voice steady. I asked her what was happening, why everyone was acting like this. Her tone? I'll never forget it. I see. Firm. "Stop being childish," she said flatly. "Alex and Emily are together now. You need to move on." My world went dark in that moment. "You're really saying this to me?" I asked, my voice cracking. She didn't hesitate. "It's serious between them. You should be happy for them." I let out a laugh, dry, cracked, and bitter. It was all I had left. And then right on cue Alex jumps in, smug as ever. She made the right choice, man. Just take the L and move on. Every part of me wanted to get in my car and drive straight over there. I was shaking. Not sure what I would have done if I had. But instead I opened the family group chat one more time. I didn't need to scroll far to get the message. I was already out. Voted off without a word. No invite. No space. No family left to call my own. Then came the final blow. A private message from my father. You never deserved her in the first place. Stop whining. That girl was always way out of your league. That wasn't just painful. It was soul-crushing. Like something inside me just caved in. I went back to my place that night, though calling it home felt like a stretch. Most of my stuff was still in boxes. Just sitting there. Like I'd been too scared to unpack because some part of me already knew none of this was real. None of it would last. All around me were the pieces of a future I'd once planned with Emily, a life that would never come to be. I threw what little I had into the trunk of my car, not even caring to fold or sort. Just packed up and left. I headed straight to my friend Mark's place. He had a spare room and the kind of personality that didn't push for explanations I wasn't ready to give. I sat in my car outside his place for a solid 10 minutes, my phone glowing in my hand. Just staring at it. Reading and rereading the messages that had gutted me. Messages that didn't even have the decency to pretend they came from people who loved me. I didn't reply to anyone. Didn't call. Didn't cry. Just sat there, numb, until my thumbs moved on their own. One last message into the family group chat. Thanks for the clarity. Now I see you all for who you truly are. Makes walking away simple. I hit send. Then deleted the entire chat without a second thought. Blocked Alex. Blocked Emily. Blocked my mom. Blocked my dad. No dramatic outburst. No shouting into the void or late-night breakdown. Just this cold, hollow feeling that started settling into something else. Something sharper. Anger. Deep, burning anger. Followed by a kind of focused rage I'd never felt before. This wasn't some isolated betrayal. This was the final chapter in a story that had always been written with me as the side character. Alex had always been the golden boy, the one who got the applause, the attention, the spotlight. And me? I was the reliable understudy, the guy who made sure the show still ran. But I was done playing that part. I was finished being the support beam for someone else's life. A few friends reached out, not many but enough to make me feel like someone noticed. They tiptoed around it, trying to play devil's advocate, suggesting maybe it was all a big misunderstanding. No one could really be that cruel, they'd say. But my family? They always had been. They were just better at hiding it before. Now they didn't even bother. They'd taken off the mask and I could finally see them for what they were. I never stepped foot in my parents' house again. They kept sending messages like nothing had happened. Like I'd missed a dinner or forgot to call, not like they'd burned my entire life down. Then one of my cousins texted me. Said Alex and Emily showed up to Christmas grinning like celebrities on the red carpet. Arm in arm. Center of attention. My mom even posted a photo, smiling ear to ear like she just watched her favorite rom-com ending unfold. So proud of these two. For real. That's what she wrote. That's when it hit me. I was never the son they rooted for. I was the placeholder. The safe choice. The one they leaned on when things got messy, but never the one they celebrated. Emily didn't want stability. She wanted someone in the spotlight. And my parents? They wanted their golden boy to have everything. Even if it meant gutting me to make it happen. The most painful part? How easy it was for them to throw me away. No fight. No explanation. Just a group decision to cut me loose. Like I'd been a guest star on their show that had finally overstayed his welcome. But I'm not the kind of man who takes that quietly. I wasn't sure exactly what I'd do next, but I knew I wasn't just going to fade into the background. I was furious and I wanted them to feel every ounce of what they'd done to me. I wasn't out for blood, but I also wasn't about to vanish without leaving a mark. And the thing is, I knew what mattered to them. And it wasn't love. So no, I wasn't breaking any laws. But I also wasn't going to play the quiet victim anymore. They'd made their choice, plain and clear. So now it was my turn to make mine. The first few days felt like I'd fallen into some strange alternate timeline. One where nothing made sense and everything hurt. A part of me kept bracing for the moment it would all flip back. Some last-minute text saying, just kidding, or we messed up. But that message never came. What did come was the silence. That heavy, suffocating kind where people are absolutely talking about you, but never to you. Not directly. Not honestly. Just whispers, glances, and online posts you were never meant to see. Like the one from my cousin Rachel. She uploaded a picture of Alex and Emily sitting comfortably at the Christmas dinner table. My mother right behind them, glowing with pride. Smiling like her world was finally how she wanted it. I'd already blocked them all, but that photo still found its way to me. Burned itself into my mind like a hot brand. I couldn't unsee it. Meanwhile, I was still crashing at Mark's place, surrounded by cardboard boxes I hadn't even bothered to open. Half my life was still stuffed in my car like an afterthought. Mark didn't ask questions. Didn't press for the story. He just handed me a spare key, pointed toward the linen closet and said, "Towels are clean." That quiet, that unspoken kindness, it meant more than I could say. It was the most generous thing anyone had given me since the whole mess started. I spent hours mindlessly scrolling through videos on my phone, trying to escape the noise in my head. But even there the memories snuck in. The song. A voice. A laugh. Every other clip triggered some moment I didn't want to remember. Eventually I deleted the app. Couldn't take it anymore. That first week I wasn't really living. I was just existing. Barely touched food. Didn't say much to anyone. Just drifted through the days like a ghost. Until I got a message from an old friend. Was Mark again. "You good?" he asked. I stared at the screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard, unsure of what to type. Finally I just sent back, "I'm fine." That was a lie, of course. But unpacking the emotional wreckage I was buried under felt impossible. He didn't push. Just sent a thumbs-up emoji and left it at that. And honestly, I get it. People don't know what to do when they see someone falling apart. Grief makes folks uncomfortable. Betrayal makes them even more uneasy. Most stay quiet, hoping you'll get better on your own. But I couldn't stop thinking about how disposable I'd become in their eyes. Like I'd just been cut loose the moment I didn't serve a purpose. Deep down, I'd always known my parents had a favorite. Alex was their golden boy. The one they pinned their hopes on. The one they showed off at parties and bragged about at reunions. Even when we were kids, I saw it. I'd get an award and my mom would say, "That's nice, but did you hear what Alex did?" It didn't matter what I achieved, it was never enough. I was always the backup plan. The dependable one. The guy who'd fill in the gaps when Alex flaked or screwed up. Once the shock wore off, that anger inside me took over. Not the kind you yell with, but the kind that simmers deep in your stomach. The slow burn that doesn't let you sleep at night. I started to see it clearly. I'd spent years letting them treat me like a utility. I was the one fixing their broken Wi-Fi, running last-minute errands, paying off small debts no one acknowledged. I did the things no one clapped for. No thank yous. Just assumptions. Alex never lifted a hand. Didn't need to. He was the star. I was just part of the crew making sure the lights stayed on. "You're just more dependable," my mom once told me. Like that was supposed to make me feel appreciated. But it never did. Not really. What my mom really meant that day, behind all the sugar-coated words, was this: "We dump everything on you because your brother can't handle life, and we know you won't make a scene about it." That was the unspoken contract. I was the family handyman, the go-to-tech guy, the last-minute babysitter, the emotional buffer, and, most importantly, the one who never complained. The one who'd just take it. One perfect example? That crusty old rental property my parents owned just a few blocks away. Years ago, they came to me in a panic, asking me to co-sign on the lease paperwork. Surprise, surprise, Alex didn't qualify. Bad credit, inconsistent income, some nonsense like that. So, naturally I said yes. Because back then, I still believed that being loyal meant saying yes no matter how unfair it felt. And now, years later, I was still tied to that lease like an unpaid guarantor on someone else's life. Meanwhile, Alex lived there like he was royalty. No rent, no bills, just a fully funded bachelor pad courtesy of mom and dad. He walked around without a care in the world, while I carried the paperwork that made it all possible. And not once did I see a dime. At the time, I convinced myself to let it slide. Family helps family, I told myself. But now I was standing in the ashes of what used to be my life, and all I could feel was fury. And Emily, my sweet, smiling, two-faced ex-fiancée, she still owed me money too. Not enough to ruin anyone's life, but enough to feel it in the gut. We'd split the costs of the move. Bought furniture together. Pitched in for things we planned for as a couple. "I'll Venmo you my half," she'd promised with that breezy tone of hers. But tomorrow never came. That promise had been floating in the air for over a year. Every time I scrolled past one of those old texts, "Soon I swear," or "just after next payday," I wanted to throw my phone straight through a wall. That's when something in me snapped. I wasn't going to be the family punching bag anymore. The emotional sponge. The guy they leaned on because they knew I wouldn't bite back. I wasn't going to guilt them into a conscience. That ship had sunk. But what I could do was shut off the pipeline. The one they'd been quietly sipping from for years. The favors, the work, the blind loyalty, all of it. No more. So I opened my laptop, dug into my inbox, started pulling every old email, lease agreement, utility bill, and screenshot I could find, anything my mom had sent me over the years about that property. Anything that proved how deeply involved I still was in something they'd long stopped pretending to appreciate. I started a list. This wasn't about childish revenge. No slashing tires. No pouring bleach in shampoo bottles. This was about hitting them where it actually hurt. Their comfort, their wallets, and that pristine little public image they loved so much. And the deeper I dug, the more I realized just how much I'd been quietly stomaching all these years. They never thought I'd speak up. Never imagined I'd push back. That right there? That was their fatal mistake. I decided it was time to take action. Real action. I wasn't going to just slink away quietly like they probably expected. No, I wanted them to feel it. To wade through the mess they'd made and realize that walking over me came with consequences. So I called up an old college buddy of mine, Tyler. He works in property law now. I didn't say much, just asked for a little informal advice, keeping it casual. Nothing shady, nothing illegal. Just the facts. Turns out, since my name was still on the lease documents for that rental house, the one Alex had been living in for free, I had some real leverage. If I officially withdrew from the agreement, they'd be forced to either buy out my share or put the place on the market. There was no way around it. And guess who couldn't afford that kind of move? Alex, Mr. Freeloading royalty himself. The man-child with no job history, no savings, and a wardrobe full of overpriced sneakers. And my parents? They were already bleeding money from years of covering for him. If I pulled the plug, the whole operation would crash. So I started drafting the email. Nothing dramatic. Just a short, direct message. Just giving you notice, I'm pulling out of the property. You have 30 days to sort it out. Best of luck. I haven't sent it yet, but I will. It's sitting in my drafts folder like a lit fuse waiting for a spark. And as for Emily, she wasn't getting off scot-free either. I spent one long quiet night scrolling through our old messages. Found every text where she promised to pay me back. Every single, I'll get it to you next week, babe, and just remind me if I forget. That mountain of false promises? I turned it into a neatly organized PDF, labeled, dated, screenshots and all. Then I emailed it to her with a note that read, "This is what you owe. I expect it before the end of the month." She saw it, left it on read. Didn't say a word, just tapped that stupid little heart icon on the message like we were still in some high school romance, and I just sent her a playlist. That passive-aggressive nonsense only made my blood boil more. Right on cue, the mutual friends started trickling in. Not in a rush. Just those slow, awkward messages that stink of fake concern. "Hey man, sorry you're going through all that. Hope you're healing." And of course the classic, "Maybe it's time to just let it go?" They seem really happy together. They seem happy. Right. So I guess betrayal is fine as long as the traitors are smiling in the pictures. I responded to one guy I used to be close with. I asked him directly, "Do you seriously think what they did is okay?" He hesitated, then typed, "I don't know, man. Alex said you'd kind of checked out before all this. That you weren't really present." So that's what they were saying now. That I was the one who failed. That my silence, my stress, my quiet burnout, that was the justification for everything. Just another case of Alex spinning the story until he looked like the victim. That's how it always goes. Paint me as distant, disinterested, cold, anything to excuse stabbing me in the back. But I wasn't letting it slide this time. I started forwarding screenshots, actual conversations, payment requests, messages where I tried to fix things, communicate, compromise. I laid out the timeline like a prosecutor in court, not to stir up drama, but to stop the lies from spreading any further. Most of those friends? They vanished. Radio silence. But a couple of them replied. "Wow. I had no idea it was that deep," one said. Another messaged, "Man, I'm sorry. I think I took their word for it without asking questions. Too little too late." One friend sent a half-hearted, "Tough break, dude." Another, even worse, added some sarcastic twist like, "Real heartwarming stuff." I just stared at the messages blank. "Thanks for the overwhelming support," I mumbled to myself. I didn't respond to them either. What was the point? Then out of nowhere, my cousin Megan, my mom's ever-faithful echo chamber, popped up in my inbox. Her message was perky, like none of this had even happened. "You should really just let this go. Maybe find someone better. Move on." I didn't sugarcoat it. I'm done playing the family's emotional mascot. Count me out. She came right back with, okay, but don't make it weird for everyone. I snapped. It's only weird for them. I'm the one who got tossed out like garbage. Remember that? And then she did what people always do when they can't defend what they're really thinking. She shifted the conversation. Sent me some long-winded text about how family dynamics are complicated, and everyone's hurting in their own way. I didn't even dignify it with a reply. Left her on read. Let her stew in that silence. Stay mad, I thought. So no, I wasn't exactly making new allies through this mess. And I didn't care. I went through my social media like a wildfire. Deleted, unfollowed, blocked. Anyone who had cheered on Alex and Emily's twisted little romance? Gone. Every single person who tried to guilt me into keeping the peace? Gone too. My circle was small now, but it was clean. No more snakes disguised as support. The most surreal part? Watching how fast those two clowns transitioned into domestic bliss. Like nothing happened. Like they hadn't burned down a life to play house. They moved in together within weeks. My old neighbor sent me a casual update like it was the weather. They've already started hosting little get-togethers. Like some kind of happy couple debut tour. Apparently, Emily even made cupcakes. And my mother, she showed up with a casserole. Like she was welcoming newlyweds into the neighborhood. Smiling. Proud. Meanwhile, my dad had taken to telling anyone within earshot that I'd overreacted. That boys will be boys, and that I needed to grow up and move on. But I wasn't trying to start fires. I was just done putting theirs out. So when I finally decided to send that email about the house, the one pulling myself off the lease, I figured it'd be another boring chore. Just more paperwork. Nothing major. I was dead wrong. Barely 5 minutes after I hit send, my phone blew up. First it was my dad. I declined the call. Then came the messages, one from my mom, then Alex, then my dad again, all in a panic. What are you doing? Why now? Let's talk. Please. I didn't reply. Let them all sit on read just like I'd done with Megan. Instead, I grabbed my coat, threw on an old playlist I hadn't touched in years, and went for a long walk through the cold night air. The wind hit harder than expected, but honestly I liked it. I needed something real. Something I could feel. While I was out, another text came in, this one from Emily. It was pure poison. You always do this. You ruin everything for everyone. I paused mid-step. Stared at the words, heart pounding. Then I typed back. I'm not the one who blew everything to pieces. I'm just not cleaning up after you anymore. And I meant it. She called me selfish. I looked at the message for a second, then set my phone face down and made myself a sandwich, calm as could be. I chewed each bite like I hadn't just been called out by the woman who broke me. Because at that point, what else was there to say? Later that night, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Alex. I answered. I don't know why. I guess I wanted to hear just how deep his delusion ran. He launched right in, no hesitation. Come on, man. You're really going to burn everything down over one mistake? We're family. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding and said, you don't get to gut me and then ask for a hug. He went quiet for a second. Then I heard that smug tone creep back into his voice, like he was trying to act hurt. You're blowing this way out of proportion. That was enough. I hung up. Then Emily messaged me again. Took her time this round. Finally sent. Wow. You're seriously being this petty? No argument. No long reply. I just forwarded the payment breakdown I'd sent earlier, the one detailing everything she still owed me. Every last cent. She didn't respond. Not even a thumbs up this time. That's when the guilt train came rolling in right on schedule. A fresh text in the old family thread. We're still your family. You're better than this. Why are you doing this to us? I didn't reply. Then cousin Rachel called me out of nowhere. She's always been my mom's little informant, parroting her words like gospel. She started with, everyone's saying you're tearing the family apart. I didn't flinch. I said, maybe they should have thought about that before stabbing me in the back. She sputtered something about understanding both sides. That classic neutrality nonsense people pull when they don't want to admit who they're really siding with. Look, I told her, you don't need to play diplomat. I'm not coming back to the table. She sighed, said, I get it now. I'm sorry. But the damage was done. After that, it became routine. Every night, like clockwork, my phone would ring. Sometimes it was my dad. Sometimes my mom. Sometimes both, like they were taking shifts at the guilt factory. My dad tried every tactic in the book. He started with logic, then tried yelling, and finally threw in legal threats like a last-ditch Hail Mary. If you force the sale of the house, I'll sue you. he barked. I didn't blink. Go for it, I said. I'm well within my rights. Maybe you should have read the fine print before you all decided I didn't matter. He lost it, screaming until the line cut. I hung up mid-rant. Then came my mom. Full theatrics. Crying, wailing, sobbing like she was auditioning for a soap opera. She went on and on about how I was breaking her heart. About how this wasn't what family does. But I'd heard it all before. Then came the final act. Alex showed up. Puffed up his chest like he was trying to look tough, but it came off more dollar store than dangerous. He stood in the hallway of my buddy's apartment like he owned the place. You're not ruining my life over this, he growled, trying to sound menacing. I actually laughed. Right in his face. Pretty sure you managed that just fine on your own. That's when he snapped. Shoved me hard. So I shoved him right back. My friend Mark was there. He jumped in before it turned into a full-on brawl and forced Alex out the door. As he stomped away, Alex kicked the door like a toddler throwing a tantrum. Real tough guy energy. Minutes later, my phone lit up again. A message from my mom. Alex told me everything. Of course he did. I replied without hesitation, you're out of control. If he shows up here again, I'm calling the police. That shut things down fast. A few days later, Emily finally paid the money she owed, but only after I sent her a formal demand letter. 2 installments. No apology. No message. She sent the payments like they were overdue rent, then immediately blocked me. Classic coward move. A week after that, she posted some vague quote on her social media. Something like, sometimes you find out who your real friends are. Wow. So deep. So original. Like she'd just invented betrayal. Meanwhile, the property drama dragged on for weeks. My parents kept trying to set up a family meeting. Asked me to come over and talk things out. I didn't even entertain it. There's nothing left to say. They went into full guilt trip mode. Tried tugging at old memories, sending me photos from birthdays long gone, stories from when I was a kid, pretending like any of it meant something now. But I wasn't falling for nostalgia bait. They'd made their bed. They could lie in it. Then came the moment I knew was coming. A lawyer reached out on their behalf. Apparently, they couldn't afford to buy me out of the property after all. Their golden goose had stopped laying eggs and now they were in a panic. A couple of my cousins tried softening the blow. We're here if you ever need to talk. I replied, I'm good. Then it happened. The moment I'd been waiting for. They caved. They put the house on the market. The same house they bent over backward to protect for Alex. Gone. He called me soon after, practically groveling. Please. I'll start paying rent. Just don't sell. You don't have to do this. I didn't miss a beat. You've freeloaded off everyone your entire life. Time to figure it out like an adult. He snapped. I'll never forgive you for this. I smiled. Perfect. I stopped caring what you think a long time ago. The sale moved forward while my parents tried to keep up appearances. I saw a few of my mom's posts, filtered photos, vague captions like, heavy heart these days, or, trust is fragile. Not one direct sentence. Just sadness wrapped in performative ambiguity. A show for their circle like they were the wounded party. But here's the best part, I didn't lie. I didn't manipulate. I didn't torch the bridge. I just walked away and let their own fire catch up to them. I stopped being the fixer, the buffer, the errand runner, the bill coverer, the one who made excuses so no one had to face the truth. I let the chips fall. 3 months later, the house sold. Clean break. Now they get to live without their unpaid handyman, emotional sponge, and full-time scapegoat. And if anyone wants to tell me I went too far, save it. You don't get to betray someone and then act shocked when they stop carrying your weight. I knew this would rattle them. I just didn't expect the whole fake family foundation to crumble this quickly. But now I see it for what it is. It wasn't love. It was convenience. And I'm done being convenient. At first it was strange. Right after the property deal closed, everything went eerily quiet. Not a word from anyone. It was like they thought if they ignored me long enough, maybe the whole thing would just fade. That if they held their breath, I'd just come crawling back like before. But I didn't. I stayed completely out of the loop. Then one day my cousin Julia called, one of the few I hadn't blocked. She sounded exasperated. Grandma's stressed out. Your parents are constantly yelling. Leo moved back in, it's chaos over there. I didn't miss a beat. Sounds like a them problem. She hesitated for a second, then asked, don't you feel even a little bad? Not even a little. I hung up. And just like clockwork, Leo came slinking in next. Tried calling. I ignored him. Then came the novel-length text message. Something straight out of a teenage drama. Paragraph after paragraph, full of guilt trips and finger pointing. You happy now? You ruined everything. Hope it was worth it. It didn't move me. Not even a flinch. Then he called again. I picked up out of curiosity. He immediately launched into a mess of half-formed arguments, shouting about betrayal and how I'd gone nuclear. I hung up mid-rant. He called again. This time, left a voicemail that sounded like he was trying to win an Oscar for Best Dramatic Monologue. I didn't listen to the whole thing. Deleted it halfway through. Next up was my dad, pulling his classic voice of reason act. Look, your brother made a mistake. But this is extreme. You're blowing it out of proportion. We can work this out. I texted back 3 simple words. There's nothing left. He replied. Come on. We're still your family. I left him on read. Then Aunt Carol, who hasn't called me in years unless it was about a birthday or bake sale, jumped into the ring. She called with that preachy tone that made me want to throw my phone across the room. You need to stop this nonsense. Your parents are exhausted. Leo's not doing well. People are starting to notice. I told her the truth. Maybe they should have thought about that before blowing up my life. She sputtered some guilt-ridden nonsense and hung up in a huff. But let's be real, Leo's whole existence was built on being handed things. He never had to earn anything. So the second those hands stopped giving, he started spiraling. Word got back to me that he tried crashing at a friend's place, hoping for a soft landing. Got turned down flat. Guess even freeloaders hit their limit. And now, my parents are on a mission. Calling daily. Sometimes multiple times a day. Leaving voicemails like it's some kind of redemption campaign. Pleading for me to just talk it out. To put the past behind us. It's embarrassing. Honestly, it's pathetic. And then my dad did the unthinkable. He showed up. Right outside Mark's place. Just standing there like this was some sitcom reunion. I looked through the peephole, stood there in silence and didn't open the door. He just stood there on the porch, shouting my name like some unhinged street preacher. No shame. No self-awareness. Just yelling into the wind, hoping I'd come running. Mark texted me from his room. Dude, your dad's outside losing it. I replied. Let him mop up his own mess. Not my job anymore. And I meant it. 2 weeks ago, the money from the house sale finally landed in my account. First thing I did? Paid off a couple of major bills that had been hanging over my head for years. Second, I signed a lease on a small place of my own. Quiet. Clean. Just mine. No one else's name on the mailbox. No shared walls with anyone from that disaster of a past life. I didn't tell a soul in my family where I moved. Still haven't. Don't plan to. These days my circle is tiny. Just a handful of real people who didn't flinch when things got ugly. No more leeches. No more emotional blackmail disguised as love. And the craziest part? The silence. My life has never been this peaceful. No guilt texts. No last-minute favors. No drama masquerading as tradition. Sometimes the circus still tries to call me back. Every now and then, one of them sends some half-baked message trying to flip the script. One day my dad texted me. You'll regret this one day. I didn't even respond. Let him sit with that. Because here's the truth. My whole life I was treated like an extra piece. The spare. The one they kept on the shelf until they needed something done or someone to blame. And Leo? He got away with it all. Because from day one our parents made it clear, they were betting on him. They gave him every excuse, every out, every pass. And when that wasn't enough, they expected me to catch whatever he dropped. So I ended the game. Because if I didn't, they never would have. No, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm over it. Or that I've uncovered some profound truth about love and forgiveness. That's not where I'm at. I'm still angry. But I'm not sorry. And if you're sitting there thinking, but they're still your family, then maybe you've never been set on fire by the same people who handed you the match.